The Surface Book 3 is Microsoft's premier portable Surface device, and today, finally, I'm going to be checking it out. Hello, my name is Brad. I review tech for creative professionals, illustrators, designers, anyone who looked at Photoshop from the iPad and said, hey, that's not real Photoshop. I've reviewed a lot of Surface products on this channel, and amazingly, this is the first time I have ever used a Surface Book. The main reason? It's been over 2 years since they've released one. And back when the last one came out, this was just a little baby channel that couldn't afford the really cool, expensive tech. But now, I have sponsors. What? We don't have a sponsor? Well, it's a good thing I have those awesome Udemy courses, discount link down below. Kidding aside, this is one of the products I've been most excited about trying out. It's a laptop that detaches from its base to become a full tablet. Wait, how is that different than the Surface Pro? This keyboard base is more than just a cover. It holds extra batteries, so the laptop is going to last a lot longer while using more power, and it also holds a discrete GPU on some of the higher configurations. Not to mention the extra ports you get in the process. And yes, this works with the Surface Pen. Every Surface product works with the Surface Pen. Well, yeah, of course it doesn't work with those. Why do I even try? Hey, I am trying. You know who else is trying? Microsoft. They've been working really hard to make top-of-the-line hardware, so let's check out the specs on this thing. The one that I picked up has a 13.5-inch screen, but it's also available in a 15-inch configuration as well. All of these have a 3:2 aspect ratio. The 13 has a resolution of 3000 pixels by 2000 pixels. Huzzah! I am a fan of both the aspect ratio and that resolution. The internals here are semi-configurable. Microsoft lays out 4 configuration options for both sizes, starting with an Intel Core i5 going all the way up to an i7. Same with the RAM and the storage space. I got the base configuration with 8 gigs of RAM and the i5 with 256 gigabytes of storage, and this one started at $1,600. The configuration options get even pricier from there. It's $400 for the next 13.5-inch size, and it's going to be a whopping $2,300 or $700 more to jump up to a 15-inch. This may sound like a shockingly huge leap up in price, and that's because, well, it is. But there is a reason for that. It's the GPU. The base configuration that I have here has Intel's integrated graphics, whereas those other models have discrete NVIDIA GPUs in the base. Microsoft doesn't make that really clear on their website when you're putting a configuration together, but that's why your price is going up so much. The device feels pretty solid. The 13-inch weighs in at 3.3 pounds, but when you get up to the 15-inch, you're getting closer to 4 pounds. There's a front and a back camera here. The thicker your device is, the better the camera you're going to be able to fit in it. That's why there's bumps on the back of phones to give that camera a little bit more space. And the thinness of most laptops is the main reason most of their cameras are kind of icky. But since the Surface Book has a tablet thickness, you get the benefit of a much better camera. I am a bit of a design snob, but you probably knew that already. So I've always been an aficionado of the Surface line. That clean, minimalist look, I love it. Also, it's a really well-built computer that are really thought out for the most part. The Surface Book, which isn't bad at all, does have a couple quirks, some of which I like and some of which I didn't. One, the seams on this are really nice, especially the way that the main tablet attaches to the base. It just fits so perfectly. At first glance, you're definitely going to see the bezels, and as laptops, bezels have been going closer to the edge, so this does seem a little bit thick, but you have to keep in mind, this is a tablet, and when you're using it in tablet mode, you're going to want that extra space for your hands to rest so you're not getting false positives on the screen all the time. I think the hinge is interesting. There isn't much out there like it. It isn't designed to close cleanly, which is fine. It doesn't affect the usage of the device at all, but that gap to me feels kind of sloppy, like a first-gen design that they came up with as a stopgap, but they never got around to updating it and making it cleaner and better. I'm just not a fan of that gap. The outer body of the Surface Book is made of magnesium. That's what Microsoft uses on many of its Surface products, and it looks good, but it does scratch over time. There was only one real thing that I honed in on this design that I would say I did not like, and that is the placement of the headphone jack. It's located in the upper right-hand corner when it's in laptop mode, so when you plug in your headphones, the cord just doesn't have enough room to hang down and clear the laptop, so you're always banging into it with your hand. I do like the little seam across the whole edge. There's a practical purpose there, of course, to vent out air. When you have a more powerful computer, you need to do that, especially when you have one this thin. And the tablet part of the computer, it's almost always hot. The base gives you your power port, also 2 USB Type A's and 1 USB Type-C port. That Type-C does not have Thunderbolt. I'm sure there's a pretty good reason for it. Actually, Microsoft says it's a security measure. The keyboard itself feels great to type on. It is also backlit, something that it has over the Surface Pro. The trackpad also is one of the best Windows trackpads I've ever used. The battery life is pretty good. I'm not so sure it's gonna last me personally a full day. I was editing video on it. Maybe I got 5 or 6 hours out of it. There is a battery in the base and there is a battery in the tablet. So when you detach the tablet to say draw on it, you're probably only going to get about 2 hours from that. I should also point out, as a bonus, the charging brick has an additional USB Type A port on it just for plugging in your phone or some other stuff you might have lying around. I kept looking at this from the point of view of a laptop. As a laptop, there's a lot here to nitpick. You can't really open it up one-handed. That's something a lot of people look at when they're looking at laptops. And if what you really want is power, you're going to find better laptops at this price point. It's noticeably top heavy, so it's kind of weird to carry when it's open. And the screen, it wiggles when you touch it. And of course, the top gets hot. But I kept coming back to the obvious. Well, duh, if you want it to turn into a cool tablet, then yeah, those things are gonna happen. And for people who really want that tablet functionality, those are really, really small trade-offs to make. And then there's the cool factor. When I got the MacBook Pro 16 to review several months back, I thought, okay, a new MacBook. But I've been using this for 3 days and I still look at it on my desk and think, wow, that's just cool. And if the only trade-off I have to make is using 2 hands to open it up to get this level of cool factor, well then that doesn't really seem like much of a sacrifice. Now we're getting to the good stuff. This is my wheelhouse. We're going to talk about drawing on the Surface Book. Now, one thing to note is the Surface Pen is not packed in here. It is an extra $100. You can find it a little cheaper if you poke around a little bit. And the Surface Pen's strength is how universally it works across so many different Microsoft devices, like the Surface Pro and the Surface Studio and the Surface Laptop, but not the headphones. Its weakness is line quality. Microsoft made a decision 6 years ago to go with N-Trig, which is now called MPP, Microsoft's pen protocol, over what Wacom was offering, which is the tech it used in the first 2 iterations of the Surface Pro. Even though Wacom provides a better drawing experience, there is a very good reason why Microsoft did not go with that in its later devices, and it rhymes with... what rhymes with palm? Anyway, it's palm rejection. Mainly, palm rejection is so much better with Microsoft's pen protocol than it is with Wacom. And since most people aren't going to be drawing on this, but using it for handwriting or using the pen to navigate, it was probably much more important for Microsoft to get much, much better palm recognition than it was to get better drawing quality. So what exactly is wrong with the lines? Well, it's a little bit jittery. You get some wave there. The line pressure is good. That means the harder you press on the pen, the more ink or the more paint flows out of it. But it also can take a few pixels before the pen tip actually kicks in and starts to draw. That's because long presses are a thing in Windows, and so that will happen too if you're drawing slowly or just trying to think about where your brush wants to go. Overall, this leads to an uneven drawing experience when you're using the Surface Pen, especially when you're drawing slowly, which I tend to do when I'm doing my really detailed line work. So I'm not really a big fan of this pen. I've been using Clip Studio more and more because I find that the line work that I can produce is much, much cleaner. Their smoothing is much better than, say, Photoshop, which does have some smoothing to it, but it's not perfect. Autodesk Sketchbook seems to pick up a lot more of your hand jitter and the line jitter. So it really depends on the app, how it performs, and how much mileage you're going to get out of the pen. Some of the apps that are built for touchscreens, like Sketchable, are just a joy to use. They are kind of limiting, but for what they are, you know, a little digital sketchbook that you always have with you are pretty good, responsive, lightweight apps. The pen itself connects magnetically to the side of the Surface Book, which is a Surface staple. It is a battery-powered pen, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. It contains 1 quadruple A battery, and it lasts for months and months and months. One thing I really do like about the Surface Pro over the Surface Book is that kickstand. This base isn't going to give you any comfortable drawing angles. You can either undock it and draw with it that way, which is probably your best bet, but you can also turn it around, attach it backwards if you need more battery life or some of those ports. On to the pros and the cons. The main pro is this is just flat out a great computer. Even that entry-level 13-inch I got performs incredibly well for everything that I want to do. This is a stark contrast to the Surface Go, which I just reviewed a few weeks ago, which felt the exact opposite, where whenever I wanted to do anything, it just didn't have enough power to do it. And I know I did critique some things about the design early on, but I feel like overall the design holds up incredibly well. And this is something that a lot of folks don't care about, but I personally do. I think if you're dropping a lot of money on a product, that product should at least look good. It should look cool. The Surface Book definitely fits that bill. From a workflow standpoint, it is really nice having a Windows touchscreen computer. I'm used to working on a Mac. Oftentimes when I'm working on a video or working on a little design project, I just want to add some little illustration flourish. Maybe it's not the main thing that I'm working on, but I want to add some arrows or some hand-drawn type to a video slide or something like that. I have to hook up a drawing tablet or I have to use my iPad or something like that. It's so nice to be working, pick up the pen, and just write on the screen. It saves you a ton of time. That workflow of having that Windows touchscreen is really nice. The cons, I think this one is obvious. A lot of people are going to miss that Thunderbolt port. This isn't something that I necessarily use a lot, but it seems like a standard thing that you get on a premium laptop that just isn't here, even though there are security reasons for it. Other manufacturers have been able to pull it off, and I don't fully understand why Microsoft hasn't. From an illustration perspective, the con you have to be most aware of is just the level of quality of this pen, the Surface Pen, which is going to be a problem with any Surface device you use. If you're a creative who wants a laptop that's really great that you can draw on, this isn't a bad choice. If you're an illustrator who wants a primary art machine, I'm not sure this is the one. And the last con isn't a huge con, but it's something I should point out if you're an artist or illustrator. I really think that the Surface Pro is just a better art machine overall than the Surface Book is. The way the type cover just kind of flips around to the back and you can move it around. You got the stand so you can set it at more comfortable angles. Just some of those ergonomics I feel are better, even though this can go a lot higher and be a more powerful machine. So that is the new Surface Book 3. I can see why so many people love it. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days.